Good morning, folks. It's Bob the Old Rucker coming at you on a happy Friday from somewhere near Little Rock, Arkansas. It's going to be a beautiful day, ranging somewhere in the high 70s to low 80s with some possible showers or storms tonight. Hey, it's Arkansas. You never know what's going to happen with the weather, but still not bad for early March. I'll take it. And how's your remap going? You know, reading, exercise, meditation, anonymous works, and prayer. These are just a few of the pillars of recovery for any of our labels. Labels, many of which end in ism, may be different, but what the labels have in common are the similarities in hopelessness and in recovery. In this brief solo episode, I'm going to attempt to cover anger, hate, violence, judging, controversy, politics, religion, gratitude, and on top of it all, with a little love. Think of recovery labels as anything that has power over you. Most notable to the public is those with alcohol and drug addiction labels. The ones not so much notable to the outside eye are gambling, pornography, perversions like child pornography, sexual and physical abuse, eating disorders like bulimia and anorexia, etc. If I leave your label out, it doesn't mean it's not a problem. There are so many labels, I'm just not smart enough to know what they all are. Here's my point. All labels associate with shame and guilt. You ever heard of the happiest, healthiest, well-rounded person engaging in a one-inch gunfight, meaning suicide? I'm talking about the person who has a great outlook on life regardless of their circumstances. No, we don't. It's the person that, even though appears to have it all together on the outside, is ravaged by shame, guilt, depression, and a bunch of other stuff on the inside. Those are the ones who suicide, and we say we never saw it coming. All labels have these characteristics in common, and all lead to death or just a miserable existence. So when it comes to recovery, we must leave controversial subjects out, way out. Well, let's look at anger. Anger leading to violence is scary stuff. I know this firsthand. I'm a recovering, angry, violent, injured inner child. I'm no stranger to anger management, and by no means am I cured. What I do know is that anger, even righteous anger, isn't good for people like me. Nothing good ever comes from anger, and for folks like me, if you identify, then when the red flags go up, run away. I'll say that again and again and again. Don't walk, don't pass go, run away. People like us go from zero to blackout rage crazy in a flash. First, run away. Second, call a good guy or girl if you're of the female persuasion. Breathe. Box breathing is awesome. By the way, I've included some tools to deal with anger in the show notes. Funny how the words hate and love are used so loosely in everyday conversations. I heard a lady hates ketchup on her eggs. Another fellow loves ketchup on his eggs. I heard a fellow say he hates it when people cut in front of him. I never heard anyone disagree with that. I never heard anyone say they love getting ran off the road. Well, I hate funerals. In fact, I hate that people die at all. But I love mochas. I love Dr. Pepper. I love cigars. I love the mountains. I love the rolling hills. I love the flowers. Whatever. In today's vernacular, it sounds normal to hate something. It sounds normal to say we love an inanimate object. I mean, doesn't it sound different saying I strongly dislike getting cut off or I really like ketchup on my eggs? Actually, the latter doesn't sound all that bad, but still, using the words love and hate in certain context adds an embellishment to emphasize our desire for or against something. Now, when using the words in their proper context and meaning it, hate especially is indicative of an extremely strong emotion, and for some of us, that's not a safe place to be. Let's take a look at the words we're familiar with, like anger, mad, hate, and violent. These unhappy words begin with anger at one end of the spectrum and violent at the extreme opposite. Anger is a strong, often unpleasant emotional response to perceived threats, injustice, or frustration characterized by tension, antagonism, and irritation, ranging from mild annoyance to intense rage, and can trigger physical reactions like increased heart rate, serve as a signal for action or a motivator for change. It's a natural emotion that can signal a problem, but its full meaning involves understanding its causes like unmet needs or perceived wrongs, and its varied expressions, aggressive, passive, assertive, and impacts, physical, mental, relational. Anger is temporary. Mad and angry have much in common, with madness being like the next level of being very angry and a sign of having a serious mental health condition. Whereas anger at its basic core is still not good, being mad is indicative by seriously irrational behavior. Being pissed off, a term we're pretty familiar with, is a vulgar way of saying we're really angry. If, however, we're in the UK, it means we're really drunk. I can identify with both. Emotionally, hate is the extreme end of anger, and madness is a long-lasting emotional state versus an emotional situation and carries a deep-seated aversion focused on eliminating or destroying the target. And the next level up is violent. It's more than an emotion. It's behavior. Whereas hate is thinking of eliminating a target, violent is eliminating the target. I think we know what that means. Hate is a strong word, and many of us know it all too well, use it way too often, and it's a dangerous place for most of us to be. Let's look at hate and what it leads to. Hate is to feel an intense or passionate dislike for something or someone. I hate is a powerful way to start a sentence and gets our attention faster than beginning a statement with I love. We use it as common vernacular as much as we do the word mad to represent angry. Words matter. If I emphasize my dislike by saying I strongly dislike something, it has a very different connotation than hate. Hate and mad are distant relatives. I need to avoid both. Strongly dislike and angry are more realistic in meaning, and both may still be a detriment to my everyday living when something is renting space in my head. What about angry versus hate? Let's say a loved one is assaulted. I'm more than strongly disliking the situation. And regarding the perpetrator involved, I confess I'm probably borderline mad and insane. I'm an extreme hater at that point. Whether it's angry or hating, even if the anger is justifiable, I still can't afford it. Bill Wilson viewed anger and resentment as fatal, number one offenders that cause alcoholics to relapse and destroy their spiritual lives. In Alcoholics Anonymous, he writes that to live, alcoholics must be free of anger, treating it as a poisonous, dubious luxury that must be managed through forgiveness and prayer. Easier said than done, I get it. Controversy involves emotional responses. At Shout Out from the Pit, we avoid any kind of controversy, no matter how small or large it may be. Like politics. Absolutely positive you, me, and most folks we know have a political leaning. On this platform, we don't care. It invariably leads to an argument, not a discussion, so we stay away from politics. Religion? Yeah, that too, though it's not as rough as politics, and frankly, I've never seen politics assist anyone on their recovery journey as religion can. Hat tip to Charlie, one of our tribe guys, who says the difference between an argument and a discussion is that in an argument, two folks are trying to prove to the other who's right. In a discussion, two folks are trying to figure out what's right. Politics and religion generally lead to arguments, and we just don't argue on Shout Out from the Pit. Something else for us isms to consider is emotional sobriety. Keep in mind, folks with isms have a stunted maturity, often called arrested development. It's a hallmark of addiction. Emotional sobriety, according to Dr. Webb Search, if you know what I mean, is the ability to manage, process, and respond to the full range of human emotions in a healthy, balanced way without turning to substances or destructive behaviors to cope. It moves beyond just stopping substance abuse to achieving mental stability, emotional maturity, and resilience, allowing individuals to navigate life's highs and lows without being controlled by them. And remember the 3 A's: awareness, acceptance, and action. Now that you are aware that isms means we have an emotional sobriety issue, and hopefully you've moved past denial and accept that anger along with resentments are dubious luxuries we cannot afford to have, then instead of taking violent action, you'll use the action to forgive and pray for those people and things that make you crazy. Like Redbeard says, crazy is a warm blanket for many of us. Shed that blanket and work the tools that lead you to a better life rather than a stint in the Crow's Nest Hotel or a graveyard. Your best defense is to walk away, run away from negative emotional stimulation. Redbeard says something along the lines of, I read, or I quote, okay, I'm just going to tell you up front, I took artistic license with this. So here's what the end state is. We need to remember to arm ourselves against the propaganda designed to weaponize our emotions against us. It's called advertising, politics, and the news. Yeah, like I said, I took artistic license with this, but Redbeard gets the credit for putting the gist in my head. Now, I do want to talk to religion for a moment. Yeah, it's a touchy subject. The Shout Out team absolutely believes our survival depends on a power greater than ourselves. We are a spiritual platform. Some of us are Christians. Some of us are not. That alone may bother folks. Apologies. We do not judge. In fact, what scriptures say about judging? Something like remove the plank from your own eye before you remove a speck from another. We avoid controversy by emphasizing principles before personalities, and love and tolerance is our code. We learn to have discussions, as Charlie says. Religion and spirituality discussions are healthy as long as folks know the boundaries. The boundaries are simple. Don't try to convert. Listen, share, compare, and draw from one another tools to help our growth. Discard the stuff that doesn't work for you. It's simple. And for some religious folks, this is a paradigm shift. It can be the difference along the lines of being a bleeding deacon or an elder statement, as our recovery literature explains. We are to encourage one another's growth, not tear it down. Frankly, as a Christian myself, albeit rough around the edges, as a friend once told me, I find discussions in other religions pretty interesting. My Buddhist, Islamic, and even my no religious affiliation friends give me tools that strengthen my recovery journey, and for that, I say thank you. We aren't desiring to convert one another. We're supporting one another and looking for the good in life. I hope this makes sense. In recovery, we don't just practice what we preach. We teach it. Qui docet dicit is a Latin proverb translating to he who teaches learns. It signifies that the process of teaching others deepens the individual's own knowledge, understanding, and mastery of a subject. The phrase is often used as a motto for educators to emphasize that teaching is a reciprocal, lifelong learning experience. We don't just practice love and tolerance, we teach it. Wisdom and discernment are acquired characteristics we get through trials and tribulations. Experiences that don't kill us make us stronger. If we screw up, and we will, we simply go back to the basics, the steps as we call them, and grow. The joy is in the journey, and our ultimate goal is to be there, to bring hope to the hurting. There's no sense in ever trying to be right. Let's check our egos at the door, and as the 11th step prayer alludes, try to understand rather than to be understood. Service work. Whew. Think of service work with people as one would working with sheep. An excerpt from a publication called The Daily Bread describes the time when Jesus tells Peter to feed my sheep. Now, that's no small undertaking. Sheep are interesting animals. Domestic sheep are one of the very few mammals known to man that must be protected by man or they simply perish. Without intervention, they face fatal risk from overheating, limited mobility due to matted wool, parasite infestation, and vulnerability to predators. They have no natural defenses, they can't learn karate, and they can't use a weapon, and frankly, they're too dumb to run away. Other sheep characteristics are that they are unkempt and dirty. Some are awkward with pushy, and some go astray. Of course I have natural prejudices, and I'm not good with dealing with unkempt, dirty, awkward, pushy people that have gone astray. But in recovery, committing to service work means I must overcome my prejudices. And some of those folks that I have a problem with, they remind me of the old me, well, and some of the current me. And if I don't like certain things about me, I'm sure not going to be crazy about helping people that remind me of me. Never a dull moment. You know, and since I brought up the whole feed my sheep story, if you recall, Jesus predicted Peter would deny him 3 times. And as the story goes, when Peter and Jesus are reunited after the resurrection, Jesus asked Peter, "Do you love me?" 3 times. Each time he replies, "You know I do." And each time Jesus replies, "Feed my sheep." My point here is that we've been forgiven for the garbage we've done. And now, like those folks that were there when we needed them, we need to be there for folks that need us, no matter how obnoxious, aggravating, or whatever they may be. Okay, on a final note, let's practice gratitude. Want what we have, and we'll always have what we want. You know, I've been to a few countries around the world. I've seen some pretty nasty and disheartening stuff. Long story short, I visited a third world country, and against the advice of our translator, a couple of other soldiers and I ordered food from a street vendor. We stared at our plates knowing there was no way on God's green earth that we were going to eat whatever it was that soaked through the paper plates and was sticking to our hands. I didn't even mention the smell. What the heck were we even thinking buying this mystery meat soaked in gross yuck? So we scanned for a garbage can and noticed a woman missing her legs surrounded by a flock of small children we guessed were her children or maybe orphans. We'll never know. They sat in the shade from a wheelless station wagon on blocks, flies buzzing around them like they were waiting for these people to expire in the extreme heat. We offered them the stuff we thought was the most disgusting excuse for food we'd ever seen. A boy, probably 8 years old, and apparently the oldest of the children, hesitantly took our plates and offered it to the other children and the woman first. They consumed it as if they hadn't eaten in days. Maybe they hadn't. We returned to base. No one spoke a word. I closed the door to my room and I broke down, grateful I was alone. I thanked God then and every day since for simply having food. I have so much to be grateful for. My sobriety at the top of the list. The last thing I want is controversy with anyone. It just doesn't resolve anything. Yeah, there's a place for it, but learn to distinguish when it's necessary and when you can eat some humble pie. So with that, I ask you to consider what you might be able to do for someone today. Today is all we have, and someone out there needs you. Love and tolerance is our code. Feed the sheep. God bless you, and have an outstanding American day. This is Bob the Old Rucker. Peace out.